private equity firms claim to save businesses and create jobs. But what if I told you they've been quietly swallowing Britain's biggest companies, loading them with debt, and stripping them for profit? From high street chains to care homes, hospitals, and even football clubs, private equity has left a trail of closures, job losses, and skyrocketing prices. So, how did this happen? And what does it mean for Britain's future? Let's break it down. What is private equity and how does it work? Private equity firms buy businesses, but instead of using their own money, they borrow billions. A method called a leveraged buyout, LBO. Here's how it works. They buy a company using mostly borrowed money. They load that debt onto the company itself, not their own books. To pay off that debt, they cut costs, sell assets, and raise prices. In a few years, they sell the company at a profit, often leaving it in worse shape than before. Sounds risky? It is. And British businesses have been some of the biggest victims. The British companies that fell to private equity. Over the last 2 decades, private equity firms have taken over key industries in Britain. Let's look at a few examples. Retail apocalypse. Companies like Debenhams, House of Fraser, and HMV were loaded with debt, bled for profits, then left to collapse. 2. Care homes in crisis. Private equity took over. Four Seasons Healthcare made millions, then left elderly residents without care when it collapsed. 3. Water companies drowning in debt. Thames Water, under private equity ownership, racked up billions in debt, while sewage leaks and bills skyrocketed. 4. Football clubs at risk. Manchester United's owners, the Glazers, used a 500 million leveraged buyout, leaving the club burdened with debt for decades. In each case, private equity firms made millions, but who really paid the price? Ordinary workers, customers, and taxpayers. The consequences: higher prices, job losses, and debt. So what's the result of all this private equity activity? Mass layoffs. Thousands of workers have lost jobs after firms cut costs. Higher prices. Businesses squeezed for. Profits pass the cost to customers. Failing public services. Private equity has taken over schools, care homes, and even NHS contracts, with mixed results. A wealth transfer to the ultra-rich. Billionaire investors cash out, while everyday people struggle with rising costs. Can Britain stop this? Some countries, like Germany and France, have strict rules on private equity takeovers. But in Britain, regulations have been weak, allowing firms to buy up businesses with little oversight. So what can be done? Stronger regulations. The UK could introduce laws to prevent excessive debt loading. More transparency. Firms should be required to reveal their financial dealings. Worker protections. Employees shouldn't be the first to suffer when private equity cashes out. But will the government act? Or will private equity continue its silent takeover of Britain? Private equity isn't just a business strategy. It's a powerful force reshaping Britain's economy. Some call it investment, others call it corporate looting. What do you think? Should private equity be better regulated? Or is it just part of capitalism? Let's discuss in the comments. Like and subscribe for more deep dives into finance, economics, and the real stories behind big monies.